Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. And last time we discussed the problem, and today we are with the solution one. And I have found some great stuff for the teachers too, for those teachers who really want to help their students. So let's see. So, in the last video, we discussed a story which was related with the topic, in which Ophelia committed suicide. And we know how, because she has no thoughts of her own, because she has only listened to the contradictory voices of the men around her, that are Lotus, Polonius, and Hamlet. And she reached a breaking point. They have all used her. She is only valued for the roles that further other people's plots. She was always treated like a helpless child, and in the end, she became one. Her childishness is just a step along the regression to suicide, a natural, if not logical, solution to her dependence on conflicting authorities. So, this is the story, but how the story is related with the real world. So, let's switch to the real world. So, actually, the Ophelia syndrome manifests itself in universities. The Ophelia, or you can substitute a male name if you choose, writes copious notes in every class and memorizes them for examinations. The Polonius writes examination questions that address just what was covered in the textbook or lectures. The Ophelia wants to know exactly what the topic for a paper should be. The Polonius prescribes it. The Ophelia wants to be a parrot because it feels safe. The Polonius enjoys making parrot cages. In the end, the Ophelia becomes the clone of the Polonius, and one of them is unnecessary. I worry often that universities may be rendering their most serious students, those who have been good all their lives, vulnerable to the Ophelia syndrome, rather than motivating them to individuation. We have already discussed this term in my previous videos. Those who don't know, there's a link above, and I have described that link in my about section, so you can just check it. And so what? Is it such a bad thing to emulate teachers? No, actually it's not. What if you are a student of biochemistry or German grammar? Then you have to memorize information, that take notes from instructors who know more, because the basic material is factual. There's no other way, and this is a temporary condition of many areas of study. But eventually, every discipline enters into the unknown, the uncertain, the theoretical, the hypothetical, where teachers can no longer tell students with certainty what they should think. It is only an illusion, a wish of the Ophelias and the Poloniuses, that literary texts have just one interpretation, or that the exact sciences be exact. At its best, even science is a creative art. An independent scholar, Alfred Korzybski, said creative scientists know very well from observation of themselves that all creative work starts as a feeling. If you observe a phenomena, it's not that you just start explaining them in statements. You first have a feeling like inclination, suspicion, intuition, hunch, or some other non-verbal affective state. So it's like you feel like that, which only at a later date, after a sort of nursing, takes the shape of verbal expression, worked out later in a rationalized, coherent theory. So we first observe the stuff, we start making hypotheses and that explanations, theoretical explanations, and then we do experiments, and then if it's right, it's right. If it's not, then go again. So, most of us have metaphors, either subconsciously or consciously, of our student experiences. I asked several students about theirs. One said he thinks of himself as a computer with insufficient memory. He's able to enter information but cannot recall it. That's weird. Painful. One said he's a sieve. A lot of stuff goes right on through, but important pieces stay lodged. One said she feels like a pedestrian in front of a steamroller, and the driver will not give her any hints about how to get out of the way. This one is quite common. I have heard this from many students. The metaphor is they feel it as a tennis match in which he must anticipate his instructor's response to each shot. Another thought of herself as a dog jumping through a hoop. And yeah, I've heard this from many students too. And there was a student who described himself as a mouse in a maze with no directional signs and no exits. And the next one is, and the last example is as a child in a candy store where you can choose only one or two pieces to take home. So, what do you observe from these examples? The child is making choices. They're feeling a need to give response, as you can see the tennis one. And it's good, as these metaphors describe people at various stages along the way from ophelia to individuation. If you're still confused with individuation, I have discussed this term in my previous video. I have given the link below, you can check it. During our lifespan, we have got advices from many people. And the one thing we realized is talk is cheap. It's easy to say that work smart rather than hard and stuff like that. But how will I do that smart work if I don't know how to do that? It's fine to say learn to think for yourself, and it's quite another to do it. So it's like the word doesn't make sense. A recent Fortune magazine article described the plight of middle managers in American corporations, driven by chief executive officers at the top for greater profits and productivity. Many are working 70 or 80 hours a week, and sometimes more. The article reports that the corporate byword for urging these people on is think smarter than harder. But since no one really knows what that means or how to think smarter, they just work longer and people are burning out. Learning to think while still in college has its advantages. It may mean shorter working hours. Later on, it may mean not having a midlife crisis because you chose to study what you wanted rather than something that someone else wanted you to study. It may mean becoming your own person. It may purely and simply mean a much happier life. I wanted to suggest 6 things you can do, 6 things I wish I had done to treat the ophelia syndrome. Treatment 1. Seek out and learn from great teachers, regardless of what they teach. So the question arises is, so how do you find them? First of all, they have a reputation among students. They are known to set people on fire. To inspire them, they are known to be challenging, fair, and tough. They refuse to be Apollonius. They refuse to make you a baby. And they refuse to do your thinking for you. They join you as a partner in a learning and research enterprise. You will feel like a team. I heard a nationally televised interview with violinist Isaac Pullman and his teacher Dorothy DeLay at Juilliard School of Music. Pullman, now 45, was sent to Juilliard as a gifted child prodigy. So during the interview, when the interviewer asked him how he had liked his teacher, he said, "I hated her." Miss DeLay, a gentlewoman with an air of complete calm, smiled into the camera. He repeated, "I hated her." The interviewer asked why. He said, "She would never tell me what to do," said Pullman. "She would stop me in the middle of a scale and say, 'Now, Isaac, what is your concept of a C sharp?' It made me furious. She refused to tell me what to do. But," he went on, "I began to think as I played. My playing became an engaging intellectual exercise in which I understood every note and why I played it. I played it the way I did. Because I had thought about it myself." In that same spirit, Wayne Booth, in his book, The Vocation of a Teacher, asserts that regardless of whether a teacher lectures or runs discussion, the teacher has failed if students leave the classroom assuming that the task of thinking through the next step lies entirely with the teacher. To this point, Booth added three more principles that will help teachers and students avoid the Polonius role. Point number one, you gotta get them talking to each other, not just to you or to the air. Second, you gotta keep them talking about the subject, not just having a bull session in which nobody really listens to anybody else. This means insisting on at least following rule in every discussion, whether I call on you or you speak up spontaneously. Please address the previous speaker or give a reason for change the subject. Third, you gotta find ways to prevent yourself from relapsing into a badly prepared lecture A disguised as a discussion. So it's the most important and the hardest part to maintain the discipline. Informal lectures are usually worse than prepared ones. So yeah, it's a kind of homework that plan your lectures before going to the class. All the very best. So next week I'll bring the second solution. Till then, bye bye and do practice.